people who are joining us?
Here comes Lenore.
Here's Lenore.
Hi, Lenore.
We just went live. Hi.
We just went live. Hello, hello, hello. So I think we're at Kitisa, right? We're just beginning a new Torah portion?
Yes.
So that's chapter 30, verse 11. I don't remember where the heck we've been.
Did you say 30, 11?
30, 11.
Good.
Oh, we just finished the...
Can you remind us?
30, 11?
Yes.
Chapter 30, verse 11.
In Exodus, Lenore, page 523.
Ezekiel?
In page 523 in H. Plan.
Yeah, okay.
So, Rabbi David, just remind us of where we are.
Yeah, I have no idea.
He's probably busier than all of us.
Moshe is still on the mountain getting
I have
instructions.
an idea. So we are.
We just the tabernacle, right?
Well, so we just finished the instructions for the tabernacle.
Right.
And I believe we're going to hold on a moment.
Is Moshe still on the mountain or is he down?
No, he's still up on the mountain.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. Right. So we haven't actually finished, but we just finished one section for the building of the tabernacle. Now we're going to move on to how we use the tabernacle. So the counting everyone, more about the incense and how we use the different things that we just built. So they haven't actually built it yet, but we've used on how to build it, and now we're going to get instructions on how to use it.
Okay.
30, verse 11. I'll read.
30, verse 11.
Spoke to Moses, saying, when you take a census of the Israelite people, according to their enrollment, each shall pay the Lord for him on being enrolled, that no plague may come upon them through their being enrolled. When you take a census of the Israelite people, so Rashi says that you don't actually take you receive a census. That's interesting. When you desire to get a count of how many of them count each head, which is the literal translation of the object of the verb in this verse, but let everyone contribute half a shekel, and you will know the total. So it sounds to me like there's a difference in approach. A leader-driven approach to taking a census, and there's a community or follower-centered approach. So that is to say, one way to count is for me to go around and count. Another way for me to get a count is for every person to come to me, bring me something, and then I count those things. It's almost as if we're giving the responsibility of this census over to the people and to Moses. What were you saying, Lenore? I'm sorry.
Yeah, is there something wrong with the sound, that your voice and sound aren't coordinated, plus it's skipping some words? Did you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little choppy. We're dealing with it.
The internet's choppy for all of us right now, Lenore.
I hear you.
It's a little choppy, Lenore. We have to sort of make do with what we've got.
Let's take a census.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dina.
So this take a census is, the Hebrew is really raise the head.
Right. Tisa et Rosh. Right.
So,
okay, so there are three things there. So the translation says take a census. Onkelos says receive a census. And the literal Hebrew says raise the head. Possible that one way to put all three of those together is, this is a real stretch, but just hang out for a second, that the leader's job is to lift the heads of those, to elevate, empower, whatever, the people, responsibility for their own being counted, as it were. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, the function of these contributions was not only to facilitate a census and to provide for the tabernacle, but to raise the level of the contributors. The equal participation of all the people symbolizes that all Jews must share in achieving the national goals, that everyone should pass through the census, that's verse 14, by giving up his selfish personal interests for the sake of the nation.
It's a high holiday. It's a high holiday appeal.
One
Yeah.
who does so gains infinite benefit because of the mission. Because the mission of Israel is dependent on the unity of the whole. And then it goes on to talk about the atonement that comes with it.
It reminds me a little bit about voting. You know, it's certainly of the whole, but there are so many people who don't vote. They put their self-interest, their lack of time, their lack of interest, their lack of, and we can't force them to vote. All that elected officials can do is raise them up, inspire them or educate them or do whatever to try and encourage them to vote. That's what this sounds like to me.
So it was interesting to me. Eitz Chaim translates and says, take a census of the Israelite people, each shall pay the Lord a ransom.
Yeah.
But my stone says, take a census of the children of Israel, every man shall give an atonement.
Say the last word again. Who shall give an atonement?
Every man.
I wonder which one it is.
Sforno says that
Sforno
too.
says every man.
Benaknu ish bofer nafsho. Every man shall give ransom for his soul.
Is it possible that man in that context is a generic and a gender?
No,
Yeah.
because I think at that time, they counted men. They didn't count women. Men would become the fighters. Men were in charge of the families and economics. No, I think it's straight simple.
Well, not just that, but one of the main purposes of a census was to see who could fight.
Yeah, exactly.
But this sentence was atonement was for the expense of the tabernacle, wasn't it?
But that would go by head of families as well, wouldn't it? I mean, the man represents
I mean,
his.
it's right in the middle of the tabernacle stuff, because then we're going right on to making a laver. We're going back to building stuff for the tabernacle. So I don't know that this is a military census. And it does say ish in the Hebrew, which makes me wonder, because it could simply have been the verb for giving could simply have been made plural to go along with Bnei Israel, couldn't it?
Yeah, I'm counting here. That's a really interesting question.
Dina, what page were you just reading from, please?
I was reading from my other chumash. Remember, I come with two books.
Yes, and you said it's page something in
Eitz Chaim, 522 is where Kitista starts. But the English that I just read
was from the other one.
is from my other book.
Okay.
The Hebrew is the third line down on 523, the Natnu Ish. co-pair. So each man should give a,
Not really, yeah, okay.
what's the word I want? An atonement.
Ibn Ezra has a really interesting take on the what you said before, Tina, about lifting the heads. That literally the translation is lifting the heads of the Israelites. He says that when you lift the head is an idiom for counting. Census takers to record the names row after row and to raise the total up to the head. That is the top of each page. Those who are trained in accounting do the same. So if you're using a spreadsheet and you have a list of numbers and you need to add them at the bottom, you put the sum at the top so that when you open it, it's the first thing that you see. That's what Ibn Ezra says. That's what raise it to the top means. Or lift their heads refers to.
Oh
So
my goodness.
you're not lifting their heads. You're lifting the total number literally up to the top.
You went out there, babe.
I just said that he says that you're not lifting their head. You're lifting the number, the total, to the top of the Google spreadsheet. That's all.
Right, right.
Right, so instead of summing to the bottom, you've got your heading at the top, which
Right.
I actually do for my high holiday stuff. All my
Right.
totals are in the top row.
Wow.
But because it's too far to scroll down to the bottom.
Absolutely.
And I'm still going down to the bottom.
Oh, you do?
When you've got 384 lines of information, if you want a total, if you're just interested in what the total number is, it's easy to have it at the top.
See, you're a young baby. I told
In
you.
this, no,
Here I am, alta caca. I'm still putting them at the bottom.
yeah, but you're probably putting two periods too.
I'm doing
No,
what?
2 spaces after the period.
Are you putting 2 spaces after your period still when you type?
Not saving any space.
You caught me.
You do. I do also. Because I learned that way.
Well, I don't.
What do we make of?
I train myself not to do that.
Yeah. What do we make of this plague?
Excuse me.
So Rashi's understanding is that you do count the shekels, that no plague may come upon them. He says, for the evil eye rules over census taking, and a pestilence might come upon them, as happened in the days of David.
Can you
Why?
Can you clarify that? I don't understand.
Well,
Why does the evil eye rule? Or what is? I mean, this is sort of getting to what is the Jewish problem?
I didn't hear you.
okay, we didn't hear after
I
problem.
didn't hear you.
I just said that this is what is the Jewish problem with counting?
All right, so there's a piece in Eitz Chaim, and it does talk about males now here. It says, God orders Moses to take a census. Males above the age of 20 are to be entered into the records. Census taking in the ancient world, regarded as a necessary administrative measure, was believed to be fraught with danger to the public. Almost invariably, it preceded a war or a new tax. The head counts recorded in the Bible are usually related to army service and warfare. Hence, each male in this census is to pay a poll tax of 1/2 shekel as a ransom for his life and to avert the possibility of a plague. The poll tax here is a one-time imposition for the building of the tabernacle, not an annual obligation. The expiatory function of the tax connects this topic with that of the verses immediately preceding it and following it. But it's very interesting because we've got that commentary in the book that only says each, that doesn't say man.
Mm-hmm. But the commentary says that this census was not about war, so that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, and yet it's still an atonement to avert the plague, a plague.
But everyone needs atonement, don't they? That's not just a male thing.
But but atonement, yes, and to avert a plague.
Okay. I don't think I'm following you.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah. To avert the possibility of a plague, yeah.
I'm not sure I'm following your thinking, Dina. And by the way.
Which thinking?
So you said that the comment that you read, you were surprised the text that was more broadly about people rather than just men.
No. The comment I read was about men, but the translation is about people each. In the book where it says
sorry,
man,
I understand.
Okay. In the book where it says man, my comment is, it is customary to contribute half of one's host country's standard coin to a communal charity. This is they're talking about making donations at Purim before the month of Nisan, as an expression of the concept that everyone has an equal responsibility to participate in meeting the community's needs. So I've got two different books, two different translations, and the commentary goes opposite what the translation says in both of my books.
Can I ask you a question? When the book you just read from, it says everyone?
No, the book I just read from, the translation says every man, the commentary says everyone.
All right, in the commentary, who is the commentator? I'm wondering what era he's from.
It's not signed.
So
what book are you in?
The Stone.
That was.
So that's that's probably a modern Orthodox commentator.
Right. Yeah, but it's not.
Okay, so there you go. That's what's going to be my point. If it was a very old commentator, biblical times or just after that, then everyone could to him very likely could be still a man, just men.
Right.
A more modern commentator would read it the way we are taking everyone.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Both the comments in both my books are not signed, so I have to assume that they're more modern commentaries. The translation, who knows when the translation was done, but it just struck me as odd that in each case, the commentary didn't match the translation.
Yeah. Well, because, you can read man as meaning man could stand for everyone, Well,
yeah, but this says in the one that Dina read, where it says the head counts recorded in the Bible are usually related to army service and warfare. Hence each male.
That would be a male, but the translation up above says take a census of the Israelite people, each shall pay the tax. It doesn't specifically say each man.
But they follow it up so that to me it sounds like they're talking about the man.
I'm guessing that is the intention of the commentator.
But she's just noting that it's read differently by different people.
Both of them are different.
Yeah.
So Abarbanel asks an interesting question. So if you read carefully the way this reads, God says to Moshe, when you take a census, or when you raise the heads, or however you want to translate that second part. And Abarbanel's question is God commanding Moshe to do this? It doesn't say you shall take. It says when you take. Commandment somewhere in here that Moshe should take a census? And if there is, why doesn't the text say so? Isn't God's command? Here's another question. If it isn't God's command, and a census would cause such devastation from this
plague,
why wouldn't God say, don't count the people? is this from God or not? Or is this just God knowing that Moshe is going to want to count the people? And if it's just Moshe who wants to count the people, and it's going to cause such they don't do that. And if it is from God, why do we do it knowing, like, why would God tell us to do something that's going to cause it?
Well, wait a minute. Maybe it could mean when Moshe wishes to take. That's what I think. The commentary by Rashi. The commentary by Rashi is saying. He's saying when you will wish to take the total of your number, to know how many of them. So should there be an occasion come along when you need to be doing this, don't do it by counting their heads.
Right, but my question is, if that's the case, if what you just said is correct, and this isn't because God told him to, he's doing it because at some time in the future he may decide he wants to, and it might cause such devastation. Why wouldn't God say, instead of bring a shekel, why wouldn't God say, don't do that? That's stupid.
Right. Okay. Before Otam, when counting them, this phrase is repeated twice in the verse to teach that this manner of counting was decreed not only for Moses' census, but that it is forbidden for all time to make a head count of Jews. That's from Or HaChaim.
Wow.
So that answers your original question, Rabbi.
Right.
King David erred in this regard, thinking that this passage applied only to Moses' time. He violated this prohibition by ordering a regular head count, a sin for which the nation was struck by a plague,
Wow.
for which he repented when he realized his error. Another interpretation of David's sin is it is inconceivable that so great a scholar could have erred in the interpretation of a scriptural passage. He did indeed use coins or some other method to avoid a direct count, but he was punished because he did not have a compelling reason to conduct any sort of a census, and therefore he should not have conducted it no matter what the method. So you have to have a reason, and then you have to have a method other than counting heads.
Is there a reason why the counting of heads is not to be done? Did I miss that when I left for a minute?
It's forbidden for all time to make a head count of Jews, but other than that, I have a, it's Or HaChaim, but I don't have any expansion on that.
Well, I mean, to me, that sounds,
So
again,
the next
rather paternalistic. I mean, you're not going to be asking every man, woman, and child to put a half shekel in. It's going to be probably one person from the family, the man, putting a shekel down. So there again, I mean, am I right in assuming that?
Okay. All right. There's another great commentary. Oh, the commentaries on this are great. This is from Eitz Chaim. It has been pointed out that the Hebrew word translated as each shall pay, it has a vowel, not new, is a palindrome, spelled the same way from right to left as from left to right. This suggests that charity is a two-way process. One receives even as one gives. This should remind us, according to the Vilna Gaon, that one who gives today may have to receive tomorrow. So that's number one. This indirect manner of taking a census, having everyone give a standard coin and then counting coins instead of people, originally may have been rooted in a superstitious fear of the evil eye. If you take pride in how many people are in your family, some disaster will befall one or more of them. It is reflected in the customs still observed in some communities of counting indirectly for a minyan rather than numbering people. This custom is given a moral interpretation by traditional and contemporary teachers. A, coins are interchangeable, but people are not. Every human being is unique and cannot be reduced to a number. B, let each person give a ransom for himself. Life is a gift, and we owe God something just for being alive. We can never take life for granted. Benno Jacob sees the census as a preparation for battle and the half shekel as an anticipatory atonement for the possibility of shedding blood in battle.
Say that last piece again for the possibility of what?
Shedding blood in battle.
Shedding blood. Okay.
C, the half shekel should teach us that a person is incomplete, becoming whole only by joining with others. Perhaps it served to remind the male warriors that the women and children who would not be going into battle represented half the community. D, after being counted, the shekels were to be used for services in the tent of meeting. Now that there is no temple with animal offerings, we show our gratitude for being alive by giving to the poor. And E, in the early 20th century, the Zionist movement revived the custom of contributing a shekel to establish membership in a Zionist organization as a way of measuring how many people could be counted on to support it.
Dina, what book is that? I want to get
it. Chaim. That was Eitz Chaim.
That's Eitz Chaim?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So can I want to, the very first piece of that.
Okay.
The Vinat Nu.
Right.
That Tzedakah, that was so lovely. That word is a palindrome. I just want to share with you that this summer, we every Shabbos after we davened, there was a class just for the senior staff members, and we were studying with this rabbi whose name literally just escaped me. He made me this.
You're not old enough.
He plays with rope. He's a rope guy. Whatever. I'm sorry. I can't remember his name right now. It's just blanking on it. We were talking about Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness. Was it tzedakah? Maybe tzedakah. I don't remember. But the interplay between the two. And the suggestion, you do tzedakah for someone, through that act of tzedakah, you receive in return. Wait, Gemilut Chasadim. It was something like this. I don't remember the. I give tzedakah to someone. Yes, that's great for them, but they are doing for me an act of loving kindness because they are giving me the opportunity to give to them.
Okay.
And so very much a two-way street. So it's different. Your interpretation that you read was that you should give tzedakah because someday you might need it. About this summer is that the act of giving tzedakah to another person is itself a gift to me.
Okay,
which
I hear that.
know is, but go ahead.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Is Laurie. He's a great guy. We became really good friends this summer. Amazing teacher.
Well, when you think of his name, send us a little.
You just gave it to us.
You just said it.
What did I just? Oh, his name.
Hello?
Yeah, Hillel. Is it Nory? I don't remember. How is he spelled his last name? I think it's Nor. Yeah, no, Norry. Calls him an artist, warrior, and sage.
Rabbi Nori.
Yeah, Hillel Nori. He's got a long beard. He's a black belt in Taekwondo. He's very cool. You should visit his website is really pretty cool.
His website is good?
Inspire your spirit, train your body, and deepen your mind. Yeah, there's pictures of him as a, what do you call it, as a karate expert, and he's a really cool guy. So, yeah.
Rabbi Nori. We're starting to take notes in this class all of a sudden, or I am.
He doesn't really keep it up to date, but
How old a man is that?
part of a rabbi too. Long beard and 9 yards. In any case. So
How
our next census is in
David, Lenore asks how
2020.
old is he?
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. What did you say?
I said, how old a man is he?
I think he's about my age, or kind of in between Ayelet and Dahlia. So I think he's probably about my age.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Between Dahlia and
so-
Ayelet,
the U.S. Yeah, in between Ayelet and Dahlia.
that's 15 years old in between.
His kids.
Oh, no, I want to know his age.
I know. I said he's about my
Oh,
age.
your voice must have gone in
Sorry.
and out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I can't hear this too well.
He's a very young rabbi.
With a very long beard.
With a very long beard.
Been growing it since he was 5.
So the U.S. Census is in 2020. About that,
Wow.
Couldn't
right? Given what we know about censuses now, this is in 2.5 years.
Mm.
Do we have to worry about it?
I think we have more imminent things to worry about. I'm not worried about the census.
Does that mean you have to pay?
Fair enough.
You have to pay to submit your papers?
Well, you know what? Maybe that's taxes. Maybe that's taxes.
That's every year. That's right. So
That's our shekel. All right, let's do let's read verse 13. Is what everyone who has entered in the record shall pay, a half shekel by the sanctuary weight, 20 geras to the shekel, an offering to the Lord. A half shekel. Rashi has a really sweet little comment because the text says zeh ha'over al pkudim. Zeh, the word zeh means this, as if God were saying to Moses, all right, this right here, who's entered has to give you. It's as if God is showing Moses something. And so Rashi's little comment says, God showed Moses a coin of half a shekel in weight and told him a half shekel like this is what everyone shall pay.
oh, that's interesting because all the commentaries I've got are that it was a coin of fire.
Yeah, that's what Rashi says. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear that. It was what? A coin?
Of fire.
A fire.
Oh.
So God showed Moses that money is like fire. Both can be either beneficial or destructive depending on how they are used.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's from Noam Elimelech. If one seeks atonement through giving funds for charity, the good deed should be done with fire and enthusiasm. Reb Mendel Putsk.
You know, that's beautiful because there's so much. The fire, the idea of thinking of fire as an enthusiasm is very beautiful because the contrary, or the other side of that coin is like on Shabbos when it says, when the Torah said, don't light a fire, lo tavaru eish, don't light a fire on Shabbos in your homes. One of the ways that the rabbi says, don't have any anger on Shabbat. That fire is representative of anger. So fire is good, like you said before. It's it's zeal, it's excitement, it's eagerness. On the other hand, it's incredibly destructive because it's anger, it's frustration. The key, though, so the Baal Shem Tov, I'm sure that I've shared this with you before, but the Baal Shem Tov asked him, who had a very, very strong Yetzer Hara, had a very, very strong evil inclination. And he went to the Baal Shem Tov, he said, what do I do? This is terrible, strong. evil inclination. And the Baal Shem Tov said, don't worry about it. You're fine. Don't worry. You have within you the fire to do good, to ignite your Yetzer HaTov, your good inclination. I would worry about you if you didn't have that fire in you. But the fact that you have a strong Yetzer Hara, that's okay, because you can take that energy that you're now putting into your evil inclination and you can redirect it toward inclination.
So that fire is terribly good, that it can move about, that you can control it.
If you can control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Lenore is looking so puzzled. What?
No, who's the one controlling it, though? Is it you or is it God?
Oh, I think we have free will, so I do believe I can control it.
I think that sometimes people allow the fire to become the controller.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's not God who controls it. It's not you who control it. It's the...
Because anger, I mean, a person should be able to control their anger, but sometimes it just gets so out of hand that anger takes over and anger is in control.
But can't you get, but you have...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Frida, you were first.
I just, let's say you do boil over, okay? And you get very angry and you call somebody a terrible name, okay? Or threaten them or whatever. But then you can gain control. You can redirect that fire.
Oh, I'm not saying that you can't, but what I'm saying is that sometimes the fire is in control.
That
while you're saying those terrible things, you're not in control. And God, Hashem certainly isn't in control at that point. The fire is what's in control.
I don't know. See now isn't that interesting? That fire is part of me. That fire is me. I am controlling it. No. I have let it loose and I can regain power over it. It's all me doing it.
But while you are in that state, you are not in control. You have abdicated that control to the anger, even if it's only for that 30 seconds.
Then I haven't committed a sin, you're saying. I don't have to celebrate Yom Kippur. I never have to celebrate Yom Kippur because it's always the fire that did it.
But your hate is that you allowed the fire to take control.
Exactly.
But you allowed the fire took control. So
whose sin is it? Whose sin is it? That I allowed or the fire?
Well, the fire is not a person, so the fire can't
have a sin. Fire's an it.
The fire can't have a sin, but the fire can be in control.
Oh, really? Like you're making these rules up for the fire world.
No, I'm
Star Wars. Wait a minute.
So we've got the whole internet now laughing at us.
I do hold myself. I hold myself responsible for all the bad things I do. It's me.
But Mom, I don't think saying the fire is in control abdicates your responsibility for allowing control.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right. I think perhaps there is a point where takes over, but the reason that you're at fault, not you, the reason that I am at fault is because I allowed that fire to do whatever it's doing.
Mine was the superior power. Yeah. The sin is on me. The sin is on me. I did wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to pay the half shekel, or I have to pay back for that. I have to do some redemption of some sort. That's,
Right.
isn't that, I don't know. That's me. I'm just describing how I feel about, things I've done, stupid or on purpose. When I let my bad self get away with things.
Get away with it. So they've taken control.
Okay, as long as I've allowed it, as long as I maintain that I've got free will, baby, you can have all the rest. You know me and free will. You know me. We've had this discussion.
I know. Right. Okay.
20 geras. Wait, did we do that yet?
I'm lost again. Now, where are we?
Yes, to the shekel.
You read it. We haven't talked about.
Okay, wait a second. A half shekel. Let me go back to the half shekel. King. And so naturally established coinage for the Israelites. He called it shekel from the Hebrew verb meaning to weigh. For each coin contained a full weight of pure silver. I didn't know that he created the shekel.
A gera was a coin that in Talmudic Aramaic was known as a ma'ah. In contemporary weights, Chazon Ish calculates the shekel of the Torah as 16 grams or 0.51 troy ounces of pure silver. This follows the halakhically accepted view of Rambam and the Gaonim. According to Rashi and Ramban, however, the shekel of the Torah is 13 1/3 grams or 0.43 troy ounces. She'urun shel Torah. I don't know. Is that a reference? It should be noted, however, that in the time of the Second Temple, the silver content of the shekel was increased to 24 gera. So, apparently, the gera was already an established coin. So,
A weight?
Well,
Weight?
whatever it was a coin that was already in use.
I can't hear you, Dina. Oh, what did you say?
The gera was a coin that apparently was already in use at that time.
Okay.
So now Hashem is showing Moshe in fire a half shekel coin and explaining that it's equivalent to 20 gera coins. So does this mean that the half shekels will now need to be minted in order for the Israelites to use it?
I
Can the
think
Israelites
so. And
contribute 20 gera instead of a half shekel?
so I think if you remember the ancient temple, there was when people would David, they would bring their little coins, maybe their dinars, or their geras,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they still use it, that little bank that was there, and they'd trade them in for a half shekel to give to the temple.
Okay, so somebody had to mint these coins, and then so you had to go to the bank. You had to go to the bank to change your pennies into dollars or 50-cent pieces or whatever.
And by the way, it says here, Rosh, I'm surprised that he says this, but he explains that gera is related to the word agora. And I don't know if you remember, but in Israel, the money back then was agorot and shekel and liras. Lira and ra. Now we have agorot still, but no one uses them. They're kind of worthless. I mean, you get them as change when you go to the market.
You get them as change, but you have to collect a gazillion of them to use them.
Right. And then he says a whole shekel is worth 20. Shekel is 4 zuzim, and the zuz or dinar was originally worth 5 silver coins. So you remember my 2 zuzim? So a zuz is worth 5 silver coins. So 2 zuzim are 10 silver coins. A shekel is 4 zuzim. So that's 20 silver coins.
But what are the silver coins? Are they half shekels?
No, they're not. A whole shekel is 20 silver coins.
So silver coins, then they were
They're
they
not
were
they're not
gerahs. The
shekels.
silver coins were the gerahs, because a shekel is 20 gerah.
Right, I guess so, yeah. Ramban, I'm not going to read it, but Ramban has this whole amazing story about, I'll just say that he goes into this whole thing about Rosh and how much a gerah is. And then he says that after he finished his commentary on the Torah, God blessed him and he was able to travel where he found these Samaritans who had silver coins. Saw engraved on one side an almond branch and on the other side some sort of jar, and with inscriptions, and the explained that the branch was the rod of Aaron and the jar was the jar of manna, and they weighed it and it came up to 10 penny weights of sterling, exactly Rashi's half ounce. He has this, it's this amazing, beautiful little story of when he took a vacation to Akko and found an ancient
Wow.
coin 1,000 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
that's really beautiful. The Israelites voluntarily could have other things needed for the tabernacle, but the only silver they had were the shekel and half shekel coins that they needed to buy, brought to them by the Gentile merchants of the vicinity.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
It sounds like maybe the Gentile merchants only accepted, they didn't accept credit cards. They only accepted shekels and.
Yeah, but back up when you said that about the Israelites, the only silver they had.
No, it said the only silver they had were the shekel and half shekel coins that they needed to buy the things brought to them by the Gentile merchants vicinity.
Wasn't there something in the tabernacle built from silver?
We didn't hear you, Dina.
Wasn't there something in the tabernacle that was built from silver?
I don't remember.
Hooks or for the curtain.
A lot of gold.
I know it's
The
a lot
rings
of
or
gold.
hooks, yeah.
I just don't remember.
I think you're.
I thought there was silver. I haven't got that tabernacle book near me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but they
The
could
pillars
have.
of the courtyard
They could
all
have
around,
melted to make the silver
banded
for
with
that.
silver, their hooks of silver, and their sockets of copper. So, is this? Did they have silver jewelry that wasn't coins?
Yeah, I think they're just talking about.
About coins. Okay.
That's my guess.
All right.
Or they just melted the coinage down. Tabernacle.
They must have had an awful lot of it if they still now have enough to pay
Right.
the Gentile merchants.
Okay. Let's read 2 more verses.
Okay.
Everyone who has entered in the age of 20 years up shall give Hashem's offering. The rich shall not pay more, and the poor shall not pay less than half a shekel's offering as expiation for your persons. Because this offering is, so this is a comment on why the rich shall not pay more and the poor pay less. Because that's given as expiation for your souls. And now I'm adding my editorialism. Since everyone's soul is exactly the same and equal, how much money you make, this is a gift of your soul, and everyone has the same soul. And so everyone has to pay the same amount.
So that as you read that reminded me of burials. Everybody get, Jews get, everybody gets buried in a linen shroud.
Right.
You get buried in your best clothes or, all your fine jewelry or whatever. Everybody's the same at that level as well.
Yeah. Huh. This is from Nachmanides. He says, gives less. He obviously transgresses a commandment. So although we would naturally understand the first half of the sentence to mean that the rich might pay more, in fact, he too must actually be prohibited from doing so. And then he explains the actual procedure. The procedure was to turn this money over to the temple in batches so that those who had not yet paid or whose payments had been lost to have contributed as part of the whole. The poor man could certainly be counted on as one who had not yet paid, and it could simply be declared that none of the money in the current batch was from an amount over 1/2 shekel paid by a rich person. Right? You get that? So more, and some people may give less, but it's all given to the temple in a batch. And so when you split it up, you just say, yeah, there's one shekel here from every person. It avoids embarrassing the poor person also.
Right.
But that's contrary to what the text says.
No, it's not. It's a legal loophole. Yes, it says that a rich person can't give more, but when you actually count it, you only assign 1/2 shekel to the rich person.
He doesn't
get more money in there.
More.
Okay, all right. So they can pay it, but they don't get credit for it. They only get credit.
Right.
They get credit for the admission price.
Yes.
Right.
The admission. You're really into high holiday seating right now.
Who really is a good person and wants to give away their heart.
Oh, I have a little extra thing here about your silver question, Dina. From Rashi, the sockets of the Mishkan were made from those 1/2 shekalim. As it says, the 100 kikar of silver were blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
There we go.
So you're
Okay,
Was it?
so, all right, so getting back to how I started this whole thing, Moshe is still on the mountaintop. So these are instructions, no, seriously, so these are instructions, so he can come down, tell people what they're gonna have to do, collect the money so that they'll have the silver to build what they need to build.
right, right.
So-
We can anticipate he will collect those shekalim.
So when you take a census, it's gonna be pretty soon after you get down off the mountain.
Yeah.
She has a timeline.
Right, we send you to the top of the mountain, you come down and tax us.
Hey, here's one last little piece on the rich shall not pay more and the poor shall not pay less. Barbanel, God did not want a crude man who had become rich to be able to give more than a distinguished person who had lost his wealth. That's very nice.
It is.
Right.
Very.
I'm gonna suggest that we pause here. This, I think, is 16 is a good place to pause. Is that okay with everyone?
No, I think we should do 16 because Freda just kind of got into that, and then 17 starts with more building of the Mishkan. I think.
All right, so let's read 16. Yeah. You shall take the expiation money from the Israelites and assign it to the service of the temple. It shall serve the Israelites as a reminder before the Lord as expiation for your persons. So are you reading that very literally, Dina, the expiation money, and literally use it in the service of the tent, meaning that is in the building of it?
My translation says, take the silver and give it for the work of the tent of meeting. So I'm taking it literally, and that's what Freda just read.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, the Hebrew word avodah can refer both to the maintenance of worship and to the work of construction.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Because silver was used in casting sockets for the sanctuary and for the manufacture of other items, avodah here must refer to the work of construction. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever first began after the golden calf. Sorry, hold on one second. Let me just read this real quick. You learn that though it is not mentioned explicitly, a commandment to count them was given when the contributions for the tabernacle first, after the golden calf incident, when they had been ravaged by plague. Then the Lord, and then there's a quote, "It's like a flock of sheep, loved by its owner. As he abates, he tells the shepherd, 'Please count my sheep and find out how many of them are left,' just to make clear how much he cares for them." And there's another question, by the way, that back in the book of Numbers, there's a census, and they count 603,550 people. And here, after they're wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, they have the same exact number, 603,550.
Oh my.
And so one of the questions is how is it possible that they have this people both times? Hold on. The solution to the problem that although the censuses were taken in 2 different years of the wilderness wandering, people's ages were counted according to the calendar beginning on the 1st of Tishrei, the 7th month. So the 2 censuses were carried out in separate years of the wandering, but in the same birth year. Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
So they essentially counted the same people 2 years in a row.
No babies? They
Is
don't
that
count.
what I understood?
Wait, I'm not sure. No, it can't be. Oh, maybe. Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Sorry. Yes, this is not counting at the end. Right. My head was in the wrong book. That's exactly what it's saying. Is that there's one and then another counting next year, but it was really just after Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
From what age are they counting?
Interesting. Okay.
From 20.
20? So nobody was killed in the meantime.
But more people were born.
Well, but they're not counting the births. They're too young.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Well, wait a minute.
Grew up to
When
be
was
19.
were the 2 censuses taken? Did it say?
One was one is after the golden, one's before the golden calf, and one's after the golden. No, they're both after the golden calf. One is right after the golden calf, and one is when they leave.
All right. So do we know months for those?
Yeah, hold on. It's said in here. I mean, this is Rashi, so who knows if he's right? But the first was done in Tishrei after, and the second one was on the 1st of Iyar. So it's right after Yom Kippur, and then after in Iyar, which is after New Year over there. So it was in the same. It was in the same school.
Okay,
it was the same school year. Different
because
calendar.
isn't Midrash that people died on Tisha B'Av?
Say one more time.
All the except for deaths from plague and stuff in the wilderness, all deaths. Everybody died on the same day. They dug their graves and lay in them.
Well, that's a midrash.
Oh my God.
I love though. It's a midrash I love.
But, yeah. All right, everybody. I hope to see you next week.
I have a quick question. Was your guitar anywhere near you? Because with all the problem with hearing, I kept hearing guitar strums.
No,
I'm playing guitar.
that's the way the sound gets distorted. It sounds like guitar.
Guitar strings. It's it. Okay.
Have a good
Hope you
have a
enjoy.
good week, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.